Well, I was gonna say, I mean, yes, wanting to build a church. I love that picture, what you were just describing, who that does not forsake first love, and so a church building a culture of belief and confession. So, how do you guys do that in a healthy way? Because I know even the context I stepped into had done this unhealthily. So, how do we do this healthy?
I can tell you what we've done that's worked, and I think you'll have to, every place is a little bit different. And I know I want to be honest about where I have struggles, where I wrestle with texts, where I want to be honest about my past. I want to be honest about, so like even in the illustration of, let me show you just a little way where my heart's wicked, or be honest when I'm talking about parenting as a parent of 3 small children, that I have to ask my kids for forgiveness often. Like I have to go into the rooms and say, sorry, Daddy needs Jesus just as much as you need Jesus. And I've got to go do that. And I want to say that to them because they have a tendency, and people in general have a tendency to go, oh man, you're so awesome. And I want to go, no, I'm really not. I'm doing all that I can by the grace of God to be obedient to God, but I fall short constantly. I want to say, hey, Lauren and I, if it's there, I want to say, hey, man, Lauren and I did have a fight. We did disagree on this. There have been several instances in my marriage. So I'm from an abusive background. Lauren's from a externally religious background. Well, you put those two in a house together, there's going to be some issues. And so early in our marriage, man, we had hit some places where we didn't know how to get past them and went and got help. And so often when we've talked about marriage and we've talked about those things, I've been honest. I'm like, listen, I love Jesus very much. My wife loves Jesus very much, man. We couldn't figure this out. We had to go get help. And so I found by me being open and honest about my own shortcomings and own failures, and legitimate ones, not like I love my wife so much, or I think maybe I love my kids too much. I think I support them too much. I think I pray with them too much. Instead of that kind of weird thing that happens, I want to be real honest about this is where I am, this is what I've struggled with. Here's what I've struggled with historically. So some of that was in today. And then the other thing I think we've done well is we'll show very often, in fact there's one this weekend, we'll show a 3-minute testimony video. We very rarely go live mic anymore just because that tends to go long and sometimes badly. But we'll capture a 3-minute testimony of, this is what Christ has done in my life. This is how he brought me to the village. This is how he's worked in my heart. And some of it's, I'll be straight, some of it's PG-13. There have been times I've had to stand up and say, hey, some of the things that are in this testimony are, they're very raw. So you either want to earmuff your kid or just head out for a second lest you get caught in conversations you don't want to have. And then the third thing that we've done really well is when we do baptisms, the pastors rarely baptize. We baptize those that we are a part of leading to Christ. But if you win your friend to Christ, you baptize your friend at the village, okay? And so what ends up happening in that moment is not only does the person who received Christ give their testimony, all right, out of religion or irreligion, but the person who shared the gospel also gets to share their testimony of being afraid almost every time, being nervous and afraid to go next door, to walk into the office next to theirs, or to invite. And so you get this constant stream of testimonies in the life of your church that often is very raw and very gritty and calls people back to, it calls the guy in the church that's secretly battling with porn as he has for a decade, hear a guy say, this has been my life, this has been my darkness, here's how Christ has conquered it, overcome it, and why I'm able to walk in freedom now because of it. And now he's going, did that just get said from the stage? Did somebody just say that? Nobody gasped, nobody freaked out, nobody, and so I think you have to work over a period of time at creating that culture, creating that environment. That's some of the ways that we've done it.